chapter 9, text number 13. O son of Pratha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Purport. In this verse, the description of Mahatma is clearly given. The first sign of a Mahatma is that he is already situated in divine nature. He is not under control of material nature. And how is this affected? That is explained in the 7th chapter. One who surrenders into the Supreme Personality of God and Sri Krishna at once becomes freed from the control of the material nature. That is the qualification. One can become free from the control of material nature as soon as he surrenders his soul to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the preliminary formula. Being marginal potency, as soon as a living entity is freed from the control of material nature, he is put under the guidance of the spiritual nature. The guidance of the spiritual nature is called Devi Prakriti, divine nature. So when one is promoted in that way, by surrendering to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one attains to the stage of the great soul Mahatma. The Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna, because he knows perfectly well that Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. There's no doubt about it. Such a Mahatma, a great soul, develops through association with other Mahatmas, pure devotees. Pure devotees are not even attracted by Krishna's other features, such as the four-armed Mahavishnu. They are simply attracted by the two-armed form of Krishna. They are not attracted to the other features of Krishna, nor are they concerned about any demigod or of a human being. They meditate only on Krishna and Krishna consciousness. They are always engaged in the unswerving service of the Lord and Krishna consciousness. So, thank you, Mataji, for allowing us to discuss today the topic of Srila Prabhupada. The origin of this desire to speak, obviously, Srila Prabhupada appeared in this world on the day after Shri Krishna Janmashtami. On Nandotsav day, he appeared, and so we're celebrating his Vyas Puja, Vyas Puja is the way in which we honor and celebrate the appearance day of the Guru, because the Guru is coming in disciplic succession from Srila Vyasadeva and transmitting the message of the Lord. So, and yesterday we had the Vyas Puja celebration of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, and in contemplating the glories of Maharaj, I was feeling that it speaks to actually the glories of Srila Prabhupada. The example I can give, if somebody brings you a very nice glass of orange juice, and you drink this juice, and it's like the sweetest, most fulfilling, vibrant taste of juice you've ever had. You might wonder, where did you get these oranges? And then the question might become, what kind of tree could produce such a fruit? Right? And you think there might be many such fruits then coming from this glorious tree. So Srila Prabhupada is such a glorious tree because he has produced so many glorious fruits. And we are blessed that we have so many amazing spiritual masters who can guide us in the process of devotional service. As we chant every time in the invocation, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. offering obeisances to the Guru. Why? Because he has opened our eyes with knowledge, the torch of knowledge. Means we are in the darkest of ignorance. And by the mercy of Guru, we become awakened, enlightened, to understand how to find success in the world. So, with that, I thought we could spend a little bit of time today discussing the glories of Srila Prabhupada. Is it okay?
Yes.
So, what do we know about Srila Prabhupada? Let's throw everything into a pot, and we'll make a nice meal out of it. So, what do we know about Srila Prabhupada? Anything you know?
Through the Srila Prabhupada, Krishna conscious.
Huh?
Through the Srila Prabhupada, Krishna conscious.
Okay, so through Srila Prabhupada we know this word Krishna conscious. And Mataji?
He's the founder of ISKCON.
He is the founder, Acharya of ISKCON. Very important point. So let's note that down here. We're going to talk about that. You'll remind me. Okay? What else?
He wrote many, like this book, it's common language.
He wrote
for everybody.
many books.
And then he also made sure that everybody it gets distributed.
Okay, let's write this down. Books, and more importantly, distributed them. Because books locked up in a treasure chest, what it can do. So books, yes. What else? We're on a roll.
He went across the country to spread the Krishna consciousness.
Across the country or?
Countries.
Country, right? Yeah, he went around the world. Okay, so we'll get travel. Yeah, so he traveled extensively to spread this message. What else?
He was allowed to spread the messages. And he constructed many temples out of India.
He constructed many temples seemingly alone, right? I have to use the word seemingly.
Yeah.
Because from our vision, he was alone. From our vision, he landed in America basically poor, with no wealth. $7 to his name. What kind of wealth is $7? But actually, he was the wealthiest man in the universe. Because he had the real wealth of faith in not just Krishna. Krishna is with everyone. He's in all of our hearts. Krishna is with all of us. He is everywhere. But why we don't all have that depth of Krishna within us? Our faith. Srila Prabhupada had unbreakable faith that Krishna was with him. So whatever was in his pockets was irrelevant. Because he had faith. And I want to, you'll write that down too, faith. Let's see how unbreakable Srila Prabhupada's faith was. Okay, what else? What else do we know about Srila Prabhupada?
He taught us a way of life, how we lead a day-to-day life.
He taught us our day-to-day life. Very practical, right? It's not some theoretical, but very practical instructions. Yes.
He
He
also taught
started
us
preaching.
Hmm?
He started preaching to completely fallen souls.
He started preaching not from the top. He started at the bottom. He started at the bottom rung of society. The rejected class of society. And from there, he turned them into the most ripened fruits. Miracle. Miracle. What else? Any other glories of Srila? Anything? Not that we're talking. What do we know about Srila Prabhupada? Anything?
Giving the knowledge as it is. Bhagavad Gita's have been written n number of them. But it's the only one which Srila Prabhupada has given the knowledge as it is from Krishna.
So Srila Prabhupada gave us knowledge as it is. Did not add or subtract anything. Actually, that is why it is potent. If I give a medicine from the pharmacy to the patient without changing it, it has potency. If I add some water into the medicine, or I add some other things into it, or I take something out, it will lose its potency, either by addition or subtraction. But when it's given untainted, it has full potency. Well, how Srila Prabhupada was able to perform the miracle of uplifting from the most fallen to, because he gave it as it is. He did not put his own interpretation on anything. And thus, the message became, and still is, so potent. Very nice. Anything else? Any other? We're talking about Srila Prabhupada. Anything we know?
Probably give like things possible by bhakti. Like
He gave the things that are possible.
everything possible by bhakti. We can do this. Like
He gave us faith in bhakti.
faith in bhakti. Yes.
Yeah, he gave us faith in bhakti. Yes, because otherwise they think this is just some spiritual practice. When I'm old, I'll do. Just like he gave us the day-to-day life lessons. He showed how bhakti is the all-encompassing practice.
I feel that Srila Prabhupada was so, his contribution basically, otherwise bhakti always was considered as at least that's how we all knew, is limited to that number of people who can do it. It's not to the regular householders leading our life, that is something different and this is something different. The concept of amalgamation of together and then it's becoming practical for anyone and everyone to perform.
Yes.
That was Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, he explained it that it is practiced by anyone and everyone. Yeah. Yes.
He gave Rath Yatra to the whole world.
He gave Rath Yatra to the whole world.
Brought Rath Yatra all over the world.
How many people have come to know Lord Jagannath who would otherwise never know Lord Jagannath? He gave Lord Jagannath to the world, and we are the great beneficiaries of that. He gave us Lord Jagannath. These deities in our temple are given by Srila Prabhupada himself, and we are celebrating his Rath Yatra also as he instructed. So yes, Rath Yatra. So now let me ask another question. If we imagine, I'll ask how to ask this question. What is it that we know today only because of Srila Prabhupada, without which we would not know? Like, were it not for Srila Prabhupada, I would not know. Finish that. Chanting.
chanting is
So without Srila Prabhupada, I would not know chanting.
The Bhagavad Gita as it is also.
I would not know the real Bhagavad Gita as it is. Okay, what else?
I'm spirit soul.
Ha! This topic, I am spirit soul. How I'll know car and driver analogy. To make something, to know something about soul is very difficult because it's just subtle. I can't see it, touch it, feel it. But he made it accessible. I know soul. What else do we know because of Srila Prabhupada? ABCDs. The practical steps of bhakti. It's not so complicated. Association books, chanting diet. Made it accessible.
books distribution.
Book distribution. The importance of distributing books we know because of Srila Prabhupada. What else?
Bhagavad Gita is made as a GPS for the world.
It's the GPS for our human life, yes. It gives us the directions where to go. Any of us would know the glories of observing Kartik Vrata and lighting a lamp? How much auspiciousness comes from offering one lamp during the month of Kartik? We would know that without Srila Prabhupada? Maybe, mostly not.
Ability to do devotional service.
Huh?
Ability to do devotional service.
Ability to do devotional service? Yeah.
He gave the light for everyone.
Right. Think all these personalities we know because of Srila Prabhupada. How many of us would really understand who is Srimati Radharani? There's coming up on Radhashtami. Would we really know who she is? We would think in just social terms, right? But really understanding she is Haladini Shakti, the Shakti expansion of Krishna's pleasure potency, who has this epitome of service. All this detail we would know without Srila Prabhupada? We would know. Who is Lord Balaram? But most importantly, maybe, Srila Prabhupada introduced us to? Huh?
Outside of
Rath Yatra outside of Puri. I'm thinking most merciful. Lord Jagannath, merciful.
Lord for
Gauranitai. Think. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the mercy incarnation of the Lord. He is like giving. We have any hope to know who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without Srila Prabhupada? So Srila Prabhupada has given us the vision to see so many things. But sometimes in our, and speaking for myself only, in our tenure in spiritual life, we begin to take for granted all these things we come to know. The example I like to use, if I grew up my whole life unable to see, I was blind. Everybody is speaking about the beauty of this painting, about the beauty of this landscape, about the beautiful fabric colors, oh, how the deities are dressed this way, oh, the color of the moon is so luminous and sweet, and they're speaking in this. How I'll feel? Left out, right? I cannot see. Whole life I've spent not being able to see the beauties of the world that everybody has been relishing. And one day, a doctor comes and cures my vision and gives me the ability to see. Will a day ever pass from that point forward where I'll not be eternally grateful to that doctor? I would be so much gratitude. Like that should be our mood as we approach Srila Prabhupada. Because he has given us vision, real vision. Material vision is one thing, but he has given us spiritual vision. So this gratitude to Srila Prabhupada, we should embolden in our heart, and we should make it alive. Because that gratitude is our reciprocation to Srila Prabhupada. And by remembering, wow, what I have come to know only because of Srila Prabhupada, then we can carry with ourselves an abundance of gratitude for everything Srila Prabhupada has given to us. So, maybe some of you are familiar and maybe some not, so just a short biographical sketch of Srila Prabhupada, just his life and early days and whatnot, and we'll discuss some of the topics that we said we'd discuss already. I forgot most of them, so it is on you now to remind me what I wrote down here. Not yet. So, Srila Prabhupada appeared in this planet in 1896. So just before the turn of the century, he appeared in Calcutta. He was born to fairly well-to-do, middle upper income family. His father was Gaur Mohan Dey. He was a textile merchant. He was dealing in textiles, and so Srila Prabhupada grew up a quite comfortable upbringing. His father, Srila Prabhupada, writes in the introduction to Krishna book, not an introduction, in the dedication to the book, that that his father was a pure devotee of the Lord and introduced him to the worship of Radha Krishna. Just across Srila Prabhupada's house was a Radha Damodar temple. So every day they would go to the temple. It was like part of their life, very early days. And Srila Prabhupada brought up little deities. He would watch his father do deity worship very detailedly. And so, of course, when child sees father doing something, what do they want? I want to do also. So his father obtained. One time, Srila Prabhupada was on a bus with his father, and maybe bus, or it would be more of a carriage type thing. and he was crying and crying, and the lady sitting across asked, "Oh, why is your son crying?" And Srila Prabhupada was begging his father that he wanted to do a Rath Yatra. He was only 5 years old, and Gaur Mohan Dev was lamenting how I can do Rath Yatra, like I don't have anything, don't have a Rath, and this lady said, "Oh, I have a chariot. It's not been used for many time. Might need some repairs. You can have it." See how Krishna arranges to his desire. So Srila Prabhupada became very excited. He was only 5 years old, and so they retrieved this Rath and they put it in the courtyard of their house. And Srila Prabhupada decorated it very nicely, put on, established deities, and arranged an elaborate Rath Yatra festival just in their home. So much so that Gaur Mohan Dev's friends became very upset with him. They said, "Why, you had a Rath Yatra and you didn't invite us?" He said, "I didn't have it. This is a kid's Rath Yatra." He says, "There was nothing kid about it. We heard so many glories of this Rath Yatra." Srila Prabhupada, sometime we'll do our Troy Rath Yatra in a few weeks. They say, "Oh, this is small Rath Yatra." There's nothing small about Lord Jagannath. Lord Jagannath is Lord of the universe. But with the sincerity Srila Prabhupada was putting on such a festival that actually the whole community started to join. And his attachment to Rath Yatra was from a very, very young age. Srila Prabhupada was very, scholarly, very strong student. And then he went to college in Calcutta, Scottish College in Calcutta. And he was studying, and he ended up studying in pharmacy. So he finished and started a pharmacy business, and was doing some different pharmacy work, had some laboratories, and was mixing medicines in different parts of mostly northern India. And Srila Prabhupada tells this story that in 1922, he was at this point now 26 years old, and one of his friends, Narendra, had said that some sadhu has come to Calcutta, let us go see him. And Srila Prabhupada had no interest, because his father was always hosting different sannyasis in his home. So as a child, he saw all these different sannyasis coming into his home and meeting with his father. His father would serve them very nicely. But Srila Prabhupada, saw that most, if not all of these sadhus, they're all bogus. They're all phonies. They were not speaking from parampara. They were not speaking, but he would never say anything. He was always very kind of quiet. So he was very internal. He lost his interest. He did not have much faith in these sadhus, because he saw that most of these people wearing saffron dress, they're not real practitioners coming in parampara. So, but his friend insisted, no, this sadhu, let's go see. And Srila Prabhupada says that by the grace of my friend, I was dragged to see. And he went to, this was at 1 Ultadungi Junction Road in Calcutta. It was like a, I think 5, 6, 8-story building. And the sadhu was on the rooftop terrace and giving a class. And Srila Prabhupada went, offered obeisances, and as soon as he got up, the sadhu told Srila Prabhupada, "You should preach this message in English to the West." So Prabhupada was kind of stunned. But Prabhupada heard this lecture, and he said, "Oh, this is a real sadhu. He is coming and preaching the real, authentic, bona fide message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." And who was that sadhu? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he became very enlightened. And Srila Prabhupada explains that when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur asked him to preach, Prabhupada Rai says at this time, I was a nationalist at that time. And I was saying that, Bhaktisiddhanta, we first must gain our independence. Who will hear our message if we are a dependent nation? And so like this, he put forth this argument to Bhaktisiddhanta. And he says, Prabhupada says, and I was smashed to pieces in my argument by the mercy of Bhaktisiddhanta. As Bhaktisiddhanta explained, that Krishna's message, it is not conditioned on any circumstance. It is beyond the material. Any material arrangement is irrelevant. It is fully potent. It has no prerequisites. These conditions must be met. No. It is the absolute truth. So, he became convinced, Srila Prabhupada became convinced. And so, actually, for the next 10 years, he explains that he had accepted Bhaktisiddhanta in his heart as his spiritual master. But it was in 1932, in Allahabad, where Srila Prabhupada had a pharmacy business, a laboratory, and some of the devotees from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's mission, it was called the Gaudiya Math, they had come to Allahabad to establish one temple there. And Prabhupada, he was by that name at that time known as Abhay Babu, he would call him. He was supporting them and giving them some financial resource, also helping and participating. So when Srila Prabhupada came to know that this Bhaktisiddhanta this sadhu was going to give doing parikrama in Vrindavan, Vrajmandal parikrama, he had strong desire to let me go. But because he had a very heavy business, he could afford to just go for one night. So he went from Allahabad to Vrindavan, and he reached a campsite where all the disciples had been. And it was approaching evening time, and so all the, there were some different program options, and so there were some different local darshan sites, holy places to go see in the evening time. And that also Bhaktisiddhanta was going to give one lecture. So different devotees went different options. And so Srila Prabhupada, thinking that I've got one night, what should I do? Should I go take darshan of all these different places? I've got one night in Vrindavan. Or what should I hear? What should I do? What did he do? Very important instruction for us. And so he said, I've come to take association and blessings from the sadhu. So he sat, and because he was in his mind a neophyte, and only there were just some, very senior disciples, mostly sannyasi disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And Srila Prabhupada, he was dressed in Western dress, because it like work attire even. And he was seated at the back. And so Bhaktisiddhanta is giving a lecture, and this is continuing on. And after 1 hour, 2 hours had passed, just a small group had remained. Most people had left to take rest for the night. But Srila Prabhupada was there. And he was just attentively hearing and drinking the nectar and the message of Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. So after this night, Srila Prabhupada returned to Allahabad. And sometime later, it became known that Bhaktisiddhanta was going to come to Allahabad to, I think, inaugurate the temple that they were working on. So Srila Prabhupada became very ecstatic and excited. And it was there that the disciples, they presented Srila Prabhupada for initiation. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he saw Srila Prabhupada. He says, oh, this Abhay Babu, he likes to hear very attentively. Bhaktisiddhanta noted that what was his qualification? He likes to hear attentively. meaning he was very eager to hear. Actually, when we go to the holy dhams, we don't see the holy places with our eyes. We see them with our ears. Shravanam. Shravanam. And Srila Prabhupada lived this. So actually Bhaktisiddhanta at that time gave him first and second initiation. He was so qualified. This was in 1932. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was traveling all throughout India. He established 64 Gaudiya Maths all over India. And Bhaktisiddhanta had really, for the first time in history, brought spiritual life to the big cities. Up until this point, it was secluded to the holy places, more secluded places. But he was bringing it to Calcutta, Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai, these big cities. That was the unique contribution. And he was preaching to the big, high-class people also, so being able to, interact. So Srila Prabhupada was supporting in many ways. He began writing articles for the publications, started by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and then ultimately the Gaudiya Math. And he was very quickly known as a scholar by his peers. In 1936, he wrote a letter to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, saying that he was lamenting that I want to serve you and I'm not able to render any service to you. All your other disciples are there supporting you, but I am stuck in my business life, family life, and I want to render some service. And so Bhaktisiddhanta replied to his letter, and he gave the same instruction he gave some 14 years earlier. That is, you take this message and you preach it to the English-speaking world. And this message letter came just 1 week before Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur left this world. And this instruction, it became the life air for Srila Prabhupada. It became the only source of his existence. His singular focus was to fulfill this order of his spiritual master. Because when Guru gives instruction, it comes with also the potency to accomplish it. Because this was an impossible task, actually. So from 1936 until about the mid-40s, Srila Prabhupada remained, managing his business affairs, and then ultimately, as he says, his business was bankrupted, stolen from, it failed, and from there he took sannyas and began to really prepare for what was to come. Now what we see in Srila Prabhupada from this period is very important for us. We see right now Srila Prabhupada, mostly from the late 60s to 70s, this time of the glory days of ISKCON, where Srila Prabhupada was traveling and there were giant receptions, 50,000 people coming to a Pandal program, the town of Surat just welcoming Srila Prabhupada like a royal king, Srila Prabhupada meeting with all these big people, and so many books are being distributed and temples are going up. That's what we see and we celebrate. And we should. But we should now understand what preceded that. What preceded that was a 22-year period from 1945 until 1967 of intense endeavor with, from a material or external vision, little to no results. And in fact, setback after setback. Setback after setback. Srila Prabhupada began writing profusely in this period, and his peers bestowed upon him this title, Bhakti Vedanta, because he was truly, the scholar of Vedanta. He had understood this at such a high level. And he, again, took sannyas, was writing. He started his Back to Godhead magazine in 1944. And he tried different ways. He started this league in Jhansi that failed. The place they were trying to start, it didn't work. Srila Prabhupada when he was producing his Back to Godheads, he would take a third-class compartment train from Vrindavan to Delhi. He would go to Chandi Chowk, buy the paper himself, carry the paper, not spending money on a rickshaw to take it to the printer. He would physically carry it to the printer. He would manage all the typesetting and printing, and then all the binding, and then take those, and he would go to all the tea stalls and sit and try to distribute these Back to Godheads. And it was a intense labor. One time, in the peak of Delhi summer, Srila Prabhupada's friend was driving by, and he saw lying on the road in a ditch was Srila Prabhupada. He had passed out from heat stroke. Thankfully, his friend had recognized him, stopped, got out, brought him in, brought him to care, and revived him. But this was the intense endeavor. Even getting passage to come to America. So this whole time he is writing, he reached Vrindavan, was residing in Radha Damodar temple, and one of his well-wishers suggested that he should start writing books, because magazines people read and they throw. But if you write books, they will stay. So from that, he started translating Srimad Bhagavatam. And when he translated the first part of Canto 1, and what I would call more scholars and educators, they read the purports and they were blown away. Nobody had presented Shastra like this before. It was presented in such a coherent and comprehensive manner, yet accessible in language, but not in any way in its accessibility, reducing its complexity. Very difficult to do. So he was really applauded, and so he finished the whole first canto. He made it to 3 parts and got it published. And then he started trying to find ways to get passage to America. He was trying so many different means, and he came to know that there was this Sumarti Morarji, who was a great devotee of Krishna, and she owned a shipping company. So he tried to take audience from her. He waited in her lobby. Her secretary told she's busy today, and after a few hours of waiting, Srila Prabhupada said was asked to leave. So he left, but he didn't leave. He sat on the stairway and he waited till the end of the day, as he knew she would be leaving from this stairway. And when she started entering the stairway, she saw a sadhu. She's a very pious lady. Oh, sadhu, why are you sitting in the stairway like this? Very difficult place to sit for hours and hours. He says, I'm waiting for audience for you. And she felt bad. She said, okay, I'm sorry. Please come tomorrow morning, and first thing we'll meet. And so Srila Prabhupada met next morning, and he said that I want passage to America on one of your steamships. He says, these steamships? These are cargo ships. This is not like some Royal Caribbean cruise ship. This is a cargo ship. He says, you're an old man. You'll die on the ship. I cannot give you. I'm not going to be responsible for your death. He was at this time 69 years old. But Srila Prabhupada was insistent, persistent, persuasive, could not be defeated. Finally, after much begging, she relented and gave him passage on the Jaladuta. And And thus in 1965 he departed from Calcutta and he reached Boston Harbor and then ultimately New York. I'm shortcutting some of this details. We know on the steamship, 38 days on this steamship. Extreme seasickness. He had just packed dry cereals that he would boil with some water and eat. When they would stop in some port, maybe he would get some fruits. It's very limited, very austere. But he had his Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he felt fully satiated just reading his Chaitanya Charitamrita. He had 2 heart attacks on this steamship. No medical care. 2 heart attacks. How many of us could endure such austerity? This is year 20 into this journey, 1965. But he didn't give up. He landed in New York Harbor, didn't know go left or right or straight. The Swamiji, as they used to call him, in New York City. But he made his way to his sponsor in Butler, Pennsylvania. There, he learned about American life. Srila Prabhupada was an extraordinarily brilliant person. He picked up the subtleties of all American life within a few short days, because to preach, he needed to be able to relate. He is coming from a different world. Today we know in India about America and vice versa, but back in those days, these worlds were like on different planets. Because travel was not so much intermittent happening. No internet. No. So, Srila Prabhupada said, but then he knew he could not stay in Butler, Pennsylvania, so he went to New York. And this year is 1965, 66 in New York City. When you read in Lilamrita, it like, you just want to cry. So difficult time for Srila Prabhupada. He was staying at one point in basically an office building. It was a narrow room about maybe like 6 feet wide, 11 feet. No windows, like a jail cell. Nothing, just sleeping on the floor. There was not even a washroom. To use the washroom, he had to walk 3 blocks to somebody's house that he had become an acquaintance with. And one other Indian gentleman was there. And he would use his washroom. One time Srila Prabhupada came down and he saw there were 2 feet of snow. And he didn't have any boots, cloth. He had one jacket in dhoti and his slippers. And one time he came back to his room and his whole thing, his office door was broken into, and they stole his second manuscript of Bhagavad Gita. He had translated the entire Bhagavad Gita, all the purports written down, and had the stacks of papers waiting to get them typed by somebody. Stolen. What would we have done if that happened? Krishna, I tried. I did my best. But that instruction that he got from his spiritual master was his life air. It wasn't the result. It was the instruction that gave him energy. And so he persisted. He was staying at a loft down in the Bowery at one point, and his roommate had gone mad and started beating Srila Prabhupada and throwing things. And Srila Prabhupada literally had to run out of the building onto the street in the early night, left all his belongings and didn't know where he was going to sleep that night. And he was just walking and roaming. And one of the boys had attended one of his class, saw it, said, "Swami, what are you doing?" And he explained what happened and gave him, and went back to the loft with him, recovered all of his belongings, vacated that dangerous place, and ultimately they settled at this 26th 2nd Avenue place. They rented one apartment and it had a storefront. The storefront is still there today. This is a holy tirtha. If you ever go to New York City, it is a must visit. You can see the Matchless Gift is still there. They run classes during the weekdays. And it was there that Srila Prabhupada started giving classes, Wednesday evenings to start, then adding in frequency. And still, 2, 3, 4 people were coming. And Srila Prabhupada, when the program would come, he would take whatever money he had. He would go to the grocery store and start buying boga. But he's buying boga and he goes to the cashier and they'll say, okay, back in those days, $1.20. No, I'll give you $1. He's bargaining, not understanding how it works. Try doing that at Myers, what they'll say to you. But that's what he knew. And he would empty his balance. And he would cook the feast, offer to his deities. And then whoever would come for the program, he would feed them so much prasad. Many times, and these were mostly young boys, and they were on drugs, so they had heavy appetites, and they would eat, and there would be nothing left for Srila Prabhupada. But he would still keep serving. And you think now, you're in a foreign country, you're in a rented apartment, you have no source of income. If you had $5, how much you would spend on a feast to cook for those who are going to come to the program? He would spend it all. How? He had faith. Krishna will provide. If Krishna is providing 60 kgs of food to the elephants in the forest, how Krishna will not provide 2 chapatis for me? This was Srila Prabhupada's faith. And sometimes those boys would leave some donation, and that would become, but sometimes they wouldn't. And Srila Prabhupada would fast. He would go, just fast. And this is how ISKCON was built. With intense endeavor. But just imagine if Srila Prabhupada quit. Where we would be. Where we would be. We'd be done. Done. By the mercy of Krishna, reciprocating with Srila Prabhupada's unending determination, of course, ISKCON boomed into unimaginable success. But our heart should be full of gratitude and appreciation for the struggles Srila Prabhupada made for us. Because a Mahatma has only one pain. Para dukha dukhi. Seeing the suffering of others is what gives them. They have no pain of themselves. Their only pain is seeing the pain of others. Fueled by that compassion that the world has never seen, he endured unimaginable difficulties. And that austerity we are now living upon. So when we face some austerity in our spiritual life, we should just think back. Oh, temple is so far. I have to sit 38 minutes in a car with air conditioning or heating, with nice soft cushioned seats. Srila Prabhupada had to sleep on the floor 38 days on a steamship. Is it too far? Srila Prabhupada gave up everything and committed 50 plus years Now, do I have time? I have time. It's a question of, am I willing to make the time? When we understand what gift we have been given and what it went into delivering this gift, then our determination, our commitment becomes intensified. And this is the gratitude I hope we all will carry in our hearts for Srila Prabhupada. Because he went on to do things that have never been done in the history of the world. Think, we talked about books. Srila Prabhupada wrote over 12,000 pages in his books. 12,000. This doesn't include all the articles, 12,000. During this period, it equates to about 8 pages per day. Imagine writing an 8-page paper every day, 7 days a week, for 12 years. But that's only one portion of what he did. Nobody has written 70 books like Srila Prabhupada has, of this magnitude. Of course, there are authors who can write novels and fiction, but of this type of erudite scholarship. Then, at the same time, went on to establish 108 temples. How many? We think, chanting one Japamala is hard.
Yes.
108 temples he established. And how much money he had? Every day he was broke. Because whatever he had, he was just putting into ISKCON. Every day. Broken by material terms. But he was rich as the richest a person. Why? Because of his faith. His faith in Krishna was his wealth. He knew. He was sitting in a park bench once in New York City. All alone. Nothing. No followers, no disciples. Nothing. And one person, maybe homeless, maybe not, asked him, "What are you doing?" And she says, "I'm here spreading Krishna consciousness." "Oh, how many centers do you have?" He said, 108. And this person, "Really? I've never heard of you." And he said, "Krishna has yet to build them. They're still to come." He had extreme confidence. He had full confidence that these temples were coming. Now, this is in a period where there was nothing. He had no, externally looking, no reason for confidence. But he had confidence because he was following the order of his spiritual master. And how was that confidence reciprocated? 108 temples came. But Srila Prabhupada knew who made those temples? He was an instrument in Krishna's plan. So he wrote books. He built temples. He preached to who? High-class brahmanas? He preached to people who didn't know that after you touch your shoes, you have to wash your hands. After you pass stool, you should take bath. After you touch your mouth, you should wash your hands. You should cut your hair. Huck, you should take a bath once a day. Forget about chanting mantras, applying tilak, Vaishnava etiquette, offering obeisances to the spiritual master, worshipping the feet. When he was staying in 22nd 2nd Avenue, there were at one point 5 or 6 boys staying, and there was one bathroom. And Prabhupada would sometimes be fourth in line. They wouldn't have the don't don't discriminate them. They're doing according to their consciousness. But they wouldn't think that Swamiji is here, our Guru, how we could make him wait. But Srila Prabhupada never criticized, never chastised. He remained tolerant. He knew these poor boys, they don't know. He tolerated and slowly began to instruct and teach the premises, the principles. This tolerance Srila Prabhupada had, I can tell you. So compassion has been unmatched, and his tolerance unmatched. Nobody could tolerate what Srila Prabhupada tolerated. Again, we see the glory days, and they're there. But that is built on the foundation of this extreme endeavor. He trained up 5,000 disciples. And he had nobody else. You know, in the internet, we have this medias, we have books, we have temples, we have so much facilities. Srila Prabhupada had none of that modern facilities. But he had faith. 5,000 disciples. And he was the managing as ISKCON was booming. Millions of books were being distributed. Temples were being constructed. That's a giant enterprise. He became the CEO and is managing the affairs of this organization. Think multinational company with factories in all over the world, 108 factories producing things, employees, all the aka disciples, money coming in, money going out. All these things. He's managing. And what's his management team? Who's his CFO, COO, CMO, CXO? Who? A bunch of kids. Kids! These are 18 to 22-year-olds. Loving, enthusiastic kids. But they're kids. And he's managing this entire enterprise. Steve Jobs built Apple. But who was his partner? Huh? A wizard. Bill Gates built Microsoft. But who was his partner? A wizard. They all had great people around them to build these businesses. Srila Prabhupada, faith in the instructions of his Guru. Srila Prabhupada was the expert manager. Once the disciples in New York, they were trying to acquire something, or I think acquire some land or something in New York, and they asked Srila Prabhupada, this person's asking for a $5,000 deposit. And Srila Prabhupada said, don't give. But Srila Prabhupada, this is the way it works in America. You're from India. Trust us, we know how things work. This is New York City. He said, don't give, you'll be cheated. And what did the disciples do? They gave. And of course, what happened? They got cheated. So Srila Prabhupada tolerated. He said, okay, you write him a letter and tell him you want your money back. He said, Srila Prabhupada, this is a New York lawyer. They're not getting any money from a New York lawyer. Not happening. He said, you write the letter. He tried. Nothing. A couple of years this went on. Finally, Srila Prabhupada landed in New York one day on his trip. He wrote one letter to this lawyer. And within 3 days, $5,000 check was at the temple. This is Srila Prabhupada. He could manage in any realm. A high-powered New York attorney, no problem. He could bring them to their knees if he needed to. Dealing with, some, president of a country, he would charm and warm them to the idea of Krishna consciousness. Dealing to a drunkard in the street, also could make and rise to the highest class Brahmin. This was Srila Prabhupada's magical gift. So he could do things in all realms, whether it's writing books as a scholar, raising and building temples, training up disciples, managing the intricacies of a global corporation, being the visionary leader. You don't see these traits in a single person. Someone who is very scholarly, who can write in scholar, they very rarely have that charisma to be able to bring masses to something. Those who are very detailed in management, they're typically not visionary to be able to see the big picture, but they can manage very well into the details. But Srila Prabhupada could do it all. And he did it all. And we are all the beneficiaries of this endeavor. So let us enjoy the wonderful facilities Srila Prabhupada has given us in this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. As our founder Acharya, he is the founder Acharya. That is his eternal position in ISKCON. And we should never confuse that. He is the Acharya who established this process for all of us to go back home, back to Godhead. And whatever challenges, difficulties, circumstances we face in our journey, just hold them in comparison to Srila Prabhupada's journey. And in that, then we'll have the confidence to carry forward and to move on. And let us try to reciprocate. And how can we reciprocate with Srila Prabhupada's great endeavor? Following his instructions. Prabhupada, what did you say? Reading his books, chanting regularly, serving in his temples, maintaining his temples, distributing his books, spreading this message. He wanted us to spread this message far and wide. He has given us everything. So let us do whatever is in our capacity. We all have some capability, some capacity. No one service is better, higher, or lower than another. It is all in service for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada, for the pleasure of Guru Parampara, for the pleasure of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna himself. It is all service. So find an opportunity and engage in service. And try to distribute these books. And try to preach this message. Spread this message. At the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, no one is more dear to me than one who shares this message. No one is more dear. Then he says, and there never will be one more dear to me than one who shares this message. And so sharing this message comes in many forms. This doesn't mean sitting and giving some fancy class. That's not preaching. Preaching involves inviting people to programs, cooking prasadam for programs, rendering service in the temple, rendering service in Rath Yatra, Janmashtami, welcoming Krishna's guests to experience the bliss of spiritual life. All of that is preaching. So to whatever your extent you have, do. And one final request, as you may have heard, we're having this seminar on September 28th and 29th. It is in Srila Prabhupada's home. It is in his home. This temple, our Devasiddhan Mandir, you might know, how many temples Srila Prabhupada established? And of 108, he said, 6 are most dear to me. There are 6 temples that are most dear to me. And guess which temple is one of those 6?
Tried one of them.
I just asked for guess which one. That is one of the most dear temples to him. So what is residing in that building?
Srila Prabhupada is
Srila Prabhupada's mercy. His potency is there. Because his heart is there. Wherever one's heart is, one's mercy is there. So we're going to have this seminar in Srila Prabhupada's home. So please try to bring as many people as you can. Invite them. If you have to drive them to come, whatever it is, beg them. It will be their life-changing opportunity. And for you, what is your benefit? Pleasing Srila Prabhupada. And it is an expression of our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. He's lying in a ditch in Delhi, suffering heat stroke, distributing his back to Godheads. Can we not make a few calls, pass out a few flyers, beg a few people to come? This hall should be full. How many people live within 1 square mile of here? Bring your friends. Tell them, come to these programs. Because when we do that, nobody is more dear, and never will there be anyone more dear. So thank you. So let us express our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada through our actions. Words are nice, but actions speak louder. So whatever action you have potency to do, please do, and enjoy the great facility Srila Prabhupada has given us, and wear in our heart this token of gratitude for what Srila Prabhupada has established for all of us. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Savior of the world, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jagat Guru, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki. Any questions, comments? I know this wasn't quite a question type class.
Prabhuji, you read before talking about Srila Prabhupada, you read about 9.13. So is it related to Prabhupada's?
Yes, I didn't quite relate it because it says Mahatmanas tu mam prartha. Mahatma. What is a Mahatma? Maha Atma. A great soul. Who is a great soul? It is not a societal designation. A great soul is one who's Daivi Prakatim, who is protected by the divine energy of the Lord. They are not deluded by the material energy. The great soul is fixed in Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada is certainly such great soul by this definition. Protected by Krishna through all steps, all walks. Srila Prabhupada only knew one thing: how to serve Krishna. But he was the most genius in the material world. He knew everything about anything. You could not debate him on any topic. He knew how material world worked. And then could connect it to the source of that material energy, Krishna. So he was certainly this Mahatma. That's why I read this verse. Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
I had a question regarding Rath Yatra. You said that Srila Prabhupada is the one who started the Rath Yatra. So, what does that mean that that was literally the first time it has ever been done? Then how come that idea, the seed which is behind?
Yeah, I mean, as we know, is the first Rath Yatra outside of Puri, the main Puri Rath Yatra, right? And so, we can speculate because he wasn't able to go to Puri, he wanted to have his own. So, as we know, maybe there were some other smaller ones, but certainly as it evolved, as ISKCON moved, nobody was running such elaborate Rath Yatras around the world as Srila Prabhupada. He brought Lord Jagannath to every town and village. Right, merciful.
Till age of 26, he was not spiritually. I mean, was he reading all
was studying, but he had not found somebody who was propagating this message in parampara bona fide. So he was practicing because his father had also educated him on the principles of bhakti. So he knew Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pure message. So when Bhakti Siddhanta began speaking, he understood this is the bona fide message coming in parampara. So he understood. So he knew the whole lineage. And that's where he was fixated on. What was that?
What happened to his business?
And he got bankrupted. I think his partner had stolen some money, and as Prabhupada loves, I was blessed by Krishna who made my business a failure. So you can imagine this, right? He cannot manage one small laboratory. He's managing a multinational global corporation with a bunch of kids around trying to of course, but by Krishna's arrangement. Krishna's arrangement.
Guru knows his purpose of life.
See, Krishna will give us failures in life. But they're not failures. They're not failures. They are the steps to a higher purpose. And a Mahatma sees that. Because he sees Krishna's plan as perfect. If Krishna's plan is for me to be slapped, that is Krishna's plan. If Krishna's plan is for me to fall. If Krishna's plan is for me to succeed to the unimaginable heights, I did it? No, there's also Krishna's plan. So one understands. So when Srila Prabhupada had all this success, and people were falling and saying, Srila Prabhupada, you did it. He said, I did nothing. He felt he did nothing in 1945, 1955, 65, 75, and 77 when he left this world. He said, this is done by the grace of my spiritual master. He never, even in the core of his heart, never thought he was actually doing anything. He was just putting his effort. And it was being done by Krishna and Guru. And this is the humility it takes. Because to reach the successes that Srila Prabhupada did, but to remain humble is very difficult. Because we become proud. Wow, look what I did. Srila Prabhupada, no, this was done by Krishna. And he allowed me, Prabhupada, to do some part. And this should be our mood in service. Srila Prabhupada did all this from age 70 to 82. You can imagine, right? Our bodies are hurting, sore, tired. Oh, my health is not good. I can't do this. I can't do that. With all legitimate reasons. And I'm not discounting any of them. But imagine, 70-year-old man. It's unbelievable. I heard one, actually Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj, he said this, that we'll not be able to understand Srila Prabhupada's effort, endurance, compassion, and tolerance until we at least are 70 ourselves. Then we can begin to understand how 14 to whatever times circling the globe in flights, and he would come straight from wherever he was, international flight. He would land at the airport. They'd go to the temple and straight to the Vyasasana and would be giving classes. No jet lag, no shout, nothing. Just preaching. And all day, people would be meeting, attending these things. Then at night, how long he would sleep?
3 hours.
No. He would sleep from 10 till 12. And then at 12 o'clock, he would wake up and start translating books. 4 o'clock, he would attend Mangal Arti. All morning program, walks, meeting people, take lunch, 15 minutes nap, and up again. Classes, meeting people, managing affairs, everything. 10 o'clock, actually about 9 o'clock he usually would retire, and then he would sing all his Vaishnava bhajans, little sadhana for him, and 10 o'clock, take rest. And this happened non-stop. How it's possible? If we tried this schedule for 2 days, next 5 days we would just sleep. It happens, right?
Yeah.
I know we all talk, when Guru Maharaj would come, Right? They're like literally in service like 20 hours a day, just non-stop. And then he leaves, and for like 5 days we were just dead, just lying in bed doing nothing. And they just continue with the same schedule in the next place. That was Srila Prabhupada. Sorry, it went long, but I could go for hours. But
Prabhuji, come and tell me.
yes.
We visited that place, 22nd.
Oh, you did, yeah.
Yes, and when we were going, we had a guide with us, when, like we were going in a bus, and he said, do you know where the Hare Rama, Hare Krishna came from in India, in America? And everybody was like, from India. And they were like, no, it came from here.
Ah, yeah.
Yes, we saw that place.
Nice, nice. Matt, just okay, thank you very much. So Prabhupada ki